Hey everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the VOD Squad, the show where we talk about streaming technology. This is episode 121 on February 27th, 2019. I am Clyde, and today I am joined by Matthew Ross.
Hello.
Jimmy Trammell.
Hello, everyone.
And making his triumphant return, Michael Aston.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, who is? I thought he was pretending to be frozen, but he's actually frozen.
It's got to be something about how you've set up the cameras and his camera set up over there. The mix between the two has to be something.
I think it's my computer this time. It's freaking out and jumping up to 100% CPU. Off and on.
That'll do it.
Yeah, maybe it's that torrent that you got going on.
Yeah. Playing video games in the background, man. Jeez, man. You know, are you trying to encode the stream that we're doing right now? That's what Clyde's got the nice piece for.
I'm playing Apex Legends and
And
streaming
Fortnite at the same time.
And Fortnite, yeah.
Ooh,
And trying to sequence his DNA.
Yes. Oh wow! Also scanning for SETI.
Right, and folding protons and not protons.
Oh, you guys must think I have a supercomputer for.
No, that's why your computer is struggling so hard, is because you're trying to do all those things at the same time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right.
Literally standing up on his desk saying, "You want me to do what?"
Although I have to say, the frozen screen is the best. I think of all of the screen captures we've gotten of you thus far, I think it's my favorite. And I know this is going to be exactly what everybody wants to hear. Great podcasting, but I am screen capping that for later use.
Oh, well, you could share it somewhere.
Yep, exactly. I'll just save that here. And Mike, there we go. Great for the audio listeners.
Very cool.
But on that note, we are here. We are all assembled. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about. So why don't we get on it?
All right, let's start with a story by Cinemia. They've started a new process on their phone system, which you can usually use to do a subscription service to get your various movie tickets at theaters. But they are now also allowing you to do things like buy your ticket directly from the theater through their app in order to get a small fee as being the purchasing agent. They're saying this is the way that they want to become your way of getting movies, whether you buy the subscription package or you buy it directly from the theater through them. Either way, this is how they feel like that they will be able to be part of the buying experience for all moviegoers.
So I think this is a smart move on there, because if you remember, one of the main reasons I was so turned off and not happy with when I tried Cinemia was the fact that buying tickets was so kludgy, because you couldn't buy them in app. You had to generate the thing in app, then you had to go buy it at a different site, and then come back to the app and keep going back and forth between the app and then, so, the ability to buy the tickets in app is good, but I think the thing that they went in the right direction with this, because they are not they're looking to compete directly with like Flickster and Fandango, because you don't have to be a Cinemia subscriber. You just buy tickets. You want to buy tickets, buy them from them. So. Expanding their area of attack, I guess.
Well,
Yeah.
is this yet another nail in the movie pass coffin?
No, I don't think so. I mean, Movie Pass,
Well,
I think they've finally found what, works for them. But because, I mean, when was the last time we heard Movie Pass is on the verge of bankruptcy story? I think they
That's
finally leveled out, but
been a couple weeks.
unfortunately, leveling out with plans that I'm not interested in. So, um, and I mean, yeah, B Covert says, "Wait, Movie Pass didn't die several months ago." No, they've
Story
come
of the-
very close, a couple times, but I mean, they are like the little engine that could. They just keep chugging along, and yeah, we'll see. Cinemia, and it's also worth noting that Cinemia is back to only having the couple movie a month subscriptions. They don't. They back in September they did that all you can eat, or it was like 30 movies a month. They're not offering that anymore. So
Aw.
of these subscription services, is Cinemia the only one that you can actually buy movie tickets to, or can you also do that with Movie Pass?
the difference was Movie Pass gave you a credit card, so you would just reserve your ticket, or depending on the theater, you could do it in app ahead of time,
Mm-hmm.
or you just show up there. So
Yeah.
it depended on if it was a participating theater.
Of course, the ones that are theater specific also allow you to do that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously AMC will allow you to because they're theirs. But yeah. So
Good deal.
Very cool.
yeah, we'll have to see how this pans out.
All right. Well, we're gonna have a nice little story here about CBS All Access's new reboot of the Twilight Zone. It's coming back. It's being rebooted by Jordan Peele, and I believe there was a big old announcement about it during the Super Bowl. But they've come out with a new trailer about it. I haven't had the chance to see the trailer, but I was curious if you guys were excited about the Twilight Zone and if it would be something that would make you be willing to pay for CBS All Access.
I am excited, and I already have CBS All Access. Right, it was one of the reasons what pushed me over to subscribe. Right,
Okay.
was that show, the Star Trek. And I think I have already said I'm a big Survivor fan. Me and my daughter watch that, religiously. So I mean, they give me the three shows, right? And it's like, oh, okay, there's the three shows I know I'm going to watch. So yeah, I'll try this out for a year, see how it works, and yeah, I am excited for this one.
Really?
I think they're going to redo a lot of the old classic episodes of the Twilight Zone.
Don't. That just makes it even worse. Oh my god! When I first read this, my first thought is another thing that nobody asked for, and and fine, resurrecting it yet again. I mean, the Twilight Zone's been resurrected a couple times, but.
Well, I mean, we'll see, right?
And-
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what
I
happens.
mean, but like I was saying, resurrecting it again, and the potential for tainting the brand is very high, and that's what turns me off and makes me scared. If what you're saying is true, and they're actually going to redo classic episodes, then I'm just angry. There is no reason. I mean, the good episodes, the old original episodes, are good enough that they still hold up. They still stand on their own. There is no reason to redo them.
I think that the difference here to me is whether or not you are somebody that really enjoyed watching the shows, or if you're like a full-on fan of the Twilight Zone. I quite enjoyed watching the Twilight Zone, but I was never really a fan. I'm very excited about this, and I would be fine with them rebooting those original shows, because while I think they are brilliant, I think that there's fun things that we could do with a modern take on the same things. Now, I understand why somebody would be annoyed at that as well. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember, I guess I'm old enough to remember the original series, right? Because the original, there was an episode where I think because this is not the first time they've redone the Twilight Zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was an old episode. You guys probably remember the episode where I think it was John Lithgow, right? That was in an episode where he sees this creature out on the wing
Mm-hmm.
of a flight where he's flying. Well, originally the original episode of that was done by William Shatner, right?
Yeah.
William Shatner was the character there that did that, and I thought that was an interesting way to redo it, right? You could kind of see where the black and white version was William Shatner, and then you see the color version of John Lithgow. And I don't know if they're going to redo that episode or not, but if they were to redo that one, to me it'd be interesting to see how they do it, right? Just to see what they would do. One example too. Speaking of William Shatner, is kind of like the Star Trek movie, right? Where they kind of reset the Star Trek series, right? And the original series I'm talking about. I thought J.J. Abrams did a great job there doing it. And so if they redo it that way and make it enjoyable and entertaining, I have no worry about that at all. But to Clyde's point, if they don't do they've got to do a good job of it. If they don't, then yeah, it'll crash.
I'd say there's only one Twilight Zone reboot that I am absolutely a fan of. And that was The Pinball Machine by Midway. That came out in the early 90s. And it was that was a very difficult machine. And it's highly regarded by a lot of people. They did it very well. And that was the best reboot, I think. Yeah, because I didn't like the movie. Because the Lithgow scene you're talking about, that was in the Twilight Zone movie in the 80s, right?
Was it the movie or was it the reboot on the TV series? I can't remember.
I think it was on the movie because they featured
that
on the movie. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to see. Someone will have to watch it and report in.
The truth is, if I missed the Twilight Zone, and by that I mean I don't miss it as in like I miss watching it.
You just
I
never
missed it as in I really never got into it as a kid. It was kind of a thing that, it'd be coming on and you'd be some weird stories and you could tell something weird is going on with it. And I was like, no, I'm going to go watch whatever I was going to watch instead.
Well, the only reason I got into it was because back in LA in the early 90s, every holiday, I think it was KTLA, the local channel, they would do a Twilight Zone marathon, like 24 hours of the Twilight Zone. So like on Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and I could just sit down and watch, and I would sit down and watch, a couple episodes here and there until I started getting sucked in, and then I'm watching like 8 hours straight of the Twilight Zone until all of a sudden I started realizing, oh, I've seen every episode. And, and that's how I consumed it. So, old school binge watching, but
the original series, a lot of people don't, if you're younger than me, you might not know this, but Rod Serling, the original host of the Twilight Zone, right? He did that for a few years there, and it was a successful show. But then I think the network and Rod Serling had a parting of the ways, and then Rod Serling went out and did another show called The Night Gallery.
Yeah, Night Gallery.
Right, and so that would that was the reason why the show didn't really go on, is because they didn't have him and they didn't really have somebody to carry it on, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that you also had Alfred Hitchcock Presents, which
the Alfred Hitchcock show. Yeah, that was a great one.
That was the monster that they were competing with. But all right, well, we should probably move on.
Absolutely. Sure. Why don't we talk about this really unique set-top box? It's not available to us. It's only in France. Those darn French people. They have a new box which is called the Freebox Delta. It's a specific box designed for their own service that is able to provide really high-end video, because in France you can get almost everybody has fiber optics to the home. This device is designed in a really unique way. It has 2 units, but one of them has the speakers built into it, so you get a nice surround solution. It can go up to 400 megabits up in speed and 8 gigabits downstream. It's got a 4K HDR video built into it, and it's basically a little powerhouse of a device, and it's a very heavy, and it's basically this like trying to be the upper echelon luxury set-top box device. I don't see a price listed here, and if it was, it would be probably...
As the French would say, if you have to ask how much it costs, you can't afford it.
Probably.
Well, ooh la la. Ho, ho, ho.
Yeah, the one thing, I mean, I don't know if everybody caught that or not, but this is a kind of like a Wi-Fi router and TV streaming device.
Well, it's a set-top box. Right? It's a cable box.
Yeah.
And that also gives you, it's like
an Amazon Alexa.
And it's essentially what, Comcast has teamed up with Android TV here. It's essentially the same thing. And several cable companies here are now teaming up with the Android TV / TiVo co-project thing. All I noticed though, the first thing I noticed is if you look at this thing, what is that thing? At first, I thought it was like a wannabe Bose wave radio,
right,
until I scrolled down and I saw it's a bedpan. It's essentially a bedpan that you hook up to your TV.
Congratulations, you have taken this designer's design and brought it down to the level of bodily function.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I guess you could say it's a yield sign, right?
Well, yield signs aren't hollow with a hole in the center.
Yeah. Well, the thing that's interesting, you asked about price. It looks like, while it doesn't necessarily say the exact price of this device, their prices are very high. They sell speakers in the vicinity of 1,000, starting at 1,000, not in the vicinity of 1,000, starting at 1,000. And similar, like their Alexa-enabled speaker, never mind, is $550. So that's like more expensive than a high-end Sonos speaker,
which I find completely hilarious because it is called the free box.
Right, that's true.
Yet most people won't be able to afford it.
Yeah, well, yeah. So, and to be clear again, that's the So I guess that actually is the price of this device, $540.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's 540 euros.
480 euros, 500, which is $540.
Right. So, but the thing is, it's a luxury device, and aiming for the luxury device is actually a thing that works for these companies. Trying to be the more expensive device and have all the extra features. There are people who will be willing to pay that. Less people in quantity, but it's very easy for us if you don't, go overboard, for you to actually make a decent amount of money, if not a lot of money, with these more luxury devices. So, yeah. I mean, if you want the best one you can get with a 10 gigabit Ethernet port and, built-in speakers and two units for when built-in Wi-Fi sharing, and it does all the other fun things, and Alexa built-in, maybe you were willing to spend the $500 on it.
And on top of that, I mean, it looks nice.
Like a bedpan, like you said.
Okay.
It does look nice. I do like it. I mean, it looks nice, but I don't know. I mean, do you really need this? I mean, what is this going to give you that a regular setup wouldn't give you? Like
Clyde. Clyde, you think it looks like a bedpan. They think it looks good. So I'm telling you now, the look of a bedpan is in.
Well, I mean, look at French fashion through the ages. They're always wearing weird stuff and making weird stuff. So, I don't know. I was just looking at the pricing. So, I mean, it's the speaker part is $480 on top of the $50 or €50 a month internet, cable and landline subscription. But then, that's technically 44 if you discount the free Netflix subscription.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. And then they've also got like home security and stuff that you can add on to it. And I don't know.
Hey, did you catch the bit that this thing weighs 11 pounds?
Okay.
All right. So there's a new service out there called NextVR. NextVR is this trying to give you virtual reality of various live events or other recorded events that you might want to go see. And it looks like it has now arrived onto Steam, which means you can now watch various things from NBA, NHL, soccer games, and worldwide entertainment wrestling matches that you can now get on stream through the Steam client, and it works with all kinds of different headsets, including the things like the HTC Vive and also the Oculus Rift, and even other standard Windows mixed reality devices. So, if you want to see some awesome wrestling in VR, now's your chance. Go get Steam and pull out your compatible device.
Yeah. Awesome. We talked about this, was it last week or the week before, about Steam's new way of trying to get into your living room. This is something that is, I think, actually compelling. So, I wish it was something other than wrestling, because I'm not the demographic.
Right.
But being able to, they believe they can provide VR content live over their service. That's a big undertaking, and if they pull it off, I think it's gonna be cool.
But is the implementation that you have to wear those uncomfortable goggles?
Well, that's what he just said. You can use those. You can also use the mixed reality AR stuff from Microsoft. You can use basically anything that but I mean,
yeah, for any of these to get off the ground, I mean, they got to come up with a comfortable set of goggles or glasses or whatever, right? I mean, wearing those, and I have tried those. My son-in-law, has a pair of them. I tried it, after about maybe 10 minutes, right? It starts to get so uncomfortable, you just want to take them off. Right?
Well, Jimmy, you are in luck, because the thing that you've been waiting for all this time has been made official by Microsoft. Their HoloLens 2 will be out soon. All it'll cost you is $3,500.
That's cheap.
Okay. Yeah.
Compared to the first one.
This is exactly what you wanted, though. It's the mixed reality.
I mean, the design looks nice, but yeah, it's not worth it to me to pay that much money for it.
Oh, come on.
But then you can watch WrestleMania like you're actually right there ringside.
Well, I mean, that is a little bit compelling, I'll admit, but still not quite worth the money.
Yeah, this is actually really interesting to me. I mean, certainly the HoloLens is still very definitely geared towards business use. At $3,500, it's not going to sell enough copies to the consumer market to get game manufacturers and that kind of group on board. However, their real intention here, and Microsoft states that their goal with the HoloLens is to change the way that work gets done. Mm-hmm. So, this isn't about video games and watching wrestling. This is about changing the way that people interact with their environments. If you've seen any of the early demos of HoloLens, they show things like augmented combined reality with people that are in different locations, like combining the HoloLens with like a camera suite in a location, so that you can appear to be virtually in the same room and interact in a natural and realistic way with a person that's also appears to physically be there. It's interesting. They're not talking about entertainment really at all. You know, there are a lot of changes that make this more compelling than the original. I have tried the original HoloLens, and the field of view is awful. And so you've got these, VR glasses here, and you expect when you put them on, they're augmented reality. They're not VR. When you put them on that you're going to have a broad field of view, because it's literally like right there, covering your whole face like a pair of ski goggles, right? But in the originals, it was like these little squares sitting out several feet. It was like watching TV on a 27-inch CRT monitor or tube TV. I mean, it was from 5 feet away. It was ridiculous. There was not in keeping with what people have come to expect from a video viewing environment, or even a computer environment where, like, my computer monitor is twice that, and I sit 2 feet away from it, and I've got a laptop monitor as well. So, yeah, I think that this changes things a lot, though. It gets up to 2K per eye from a resolution perspective, and it increases the field of view by a significant amount. It doesn't give me the exact figure. They're saying more than double the field of view. So that takes it from something where you're looking at something that's like maybe this to something that's like this view. And my hands are wide enough that you can't see it, but that's good, right? Like, I shouldn't be cutting off my view to be basically, just a regular an old style TV monitor from 5 or 10 feet away.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of see where they're going with this, right? And this definitely is a step in the right direction. I like the implementation, where they're taking it, but the price point is the problem. I mean, clearly, what they're doing, as a business model, is that they're putting out these things at a high price like that, just like what either Clyde or Matt once said, that they're going more for the business user. So they're going to get the business users, get the corporate America to pay for that technology cost, right, up front. And then once they recoup that technology cost up front, then the technology costs will start to go down, and then eventually get out to the consumers.
Remember that this is not a VR lens. This is a full-on computer, right? Like the HoloLens has a full computer built into the system. It's a completely independent device. So it's a relatively high-end, compact computer that you are buying as well. So it is a very sophisticated device. It's not like the Vive where you're just buying the goggles and the projection screen. You're buying a full-on computer and stuff. So while I do expect the price will come down as more are produced and as it gets done, it will never be a $600 or $1,000 device. It's going to require a lot more computing power and expense than that. The thing that's interesting is, like, envision things like industrial, like interior, like commercial interior designers coming and bringing these into your office, and you put this on and you can look around your $1 million remodel of your corporate headquarters and see what it'll look like,
which we saw at CES. There's a good reason that the picture in that story showed it on a hard hat. But
yeah, exactly. So these will, I think that this has a really interesting place, and I'm really excited about it. And to your point, maybe 5 years down the road, we start to see something similar coming out at a level that makes sense for consumers.
Yes. I'll end this by saying $3,500. I can either buy a Cisco 48-port switch with no support, or 5 cars.
Whoa!
All right,
Cheap cars.
Carry on.
5 cars, Hot Wheel cars.
No,
$700 a piece.
$700 a piece. You can get pretty decent wheels. All right.
Really briefly on HoloLens. This is not intended for the commercial market, just at all. That's not their goal. So no, it's the $3,500. Remember, that's $1,500 less than the previous model, and at least twice as good, lightweight, capable of doing a bunch of stuff. This is stuff that's going in the right direction. We're going to see this come down in price over the years and new iterations. We're going to see other people compete with it. This is going to be good, and eventually, this thing will become the home environment. Your home computer may be a HoloLens.
You know what else is not intended for the consumer market?
What?
Want to see score ratings on Rotten Tomatoes?
Well, this is an interesting because Rotten Tomatoes made a decision to change how they do their scoring system. Before, they had a system where you could say, "Hey, I want to see this movie," and you were able to put some type of score on the movie that you wanted to see. But the movie hadn't come out yet, which means that because the internet is full of trolls, people were taking this and basically dumping on movies, basically making horrible scores on movies, and so it would have this want-to-see score of a really low number, and provably it affected movie sales for many of these movies. And so they've decided that instead of letting anybody say what they think the score of a movie should be before it comes out, they've eliminated that. And we'll see if this makes a big difference. There's actually, specifically with the upcoming Captain Marvel, there was a lot of people who thinks there was a big push of giving it really bad reviews, and we'll see if they, since removing that, it makes still a decent amount of money.
Yeah. I think their problem was the fact that the want to see directly tied into the rating of the, they should have been a completely separate, just another thing that wasn't actually a metric.
Right.
And,
I fully agree. I think that it actually makes sense. Like the idea of getting a feel for kind of like the buzz around a movie that's coming out. Now you can naturally do that if you interact with a fair number of people in real life. But let's be honest, the goal of the internet is to get rid of IRL, right? And if we can see the buzz out there without having to go out there, I'm all for it.
No, the goal of the internet is to change the acronym IRL. It's not it's internet real life is the goal.
Yeah.
But
now it'll be like IRL is what is the real thing, is the internet. What happens in meat space is the fake.
But I think they're just using the trolls as an excuse. That was their way to get rid of it. They just wanted to get rid of it and didn't have a good reason. I mean, because anybody that uses that site regularly knows that if the critics give it a terrible score, then it's probably something worth seeing. And
the Clyde method.
I mean, that's typically how it, when you look at the ratings, you'll see that it's panned by critics, but then the audience loved it. It'll have like a 90% audience and like a 40% critic. I mean, so you already know to kind of disregard that stuff. I mean, nobody went in there and said, "Ooh, I want to see." Oh, wait, nobody wants to see this movie. I guess I won't go.
Just right now, look at Battle Angel Alita. 60% on the tomato meter, 94% of the audience liked it.
Yeah. And that's my point. I mean, you go into these sites knowing that it's not a direct analog to what your enjoyment's going to be. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I don't think there's a single person out there that changed their mind about seeing a movie when they saw that nobody wanted to see it. Ooh, Captain Marvel. Everybody says they don't want to see it. I guess I don't want to see it either,
But I think most people use these ratings, though, don't want to go see it in the theater or wait until it comes out on DVD. Right.
This kind of thing is to help sway the decision. Like you said, if you don't know if you want to spend the money to see it in the movie, you check these ratings and it's like, it doesn't do so great. I'll wait and see it on DVD. But it's for those people that are on the fence, right? It's for fence sitters.
Right.
I don't bother with this because I straight up am not going to see it in the theaters unless I am super excited about it. Because why pay $40 to go to a movie?
So, Michael, you're the I already know what movie I want to see. This isn't going to make a change for me. Clyde, you're the I don't care what the numbers say. Usually when they say it's bad, I like it anyways. And so obviously you two are not the people that these numbers are aiming for. This is much more for the casual. Ooh, are the critics liking this? If they are, maybe I'll go see it. And so, there was a number there that showed where a bunch of trolls could put in a big low number and then that would affect people's ability to or decision to go see the movie. So
yeah, I mean, the first thing that you learn when you use the internet is if a number is really high or really low, somebody game the system, disregard it. You just basically throw it out.
I never trust 5-star reviews.
Absolutely.
4-star review. That's a good review. Great. 2-star review. Wonderful. It's better. That's throw out the top, throw out the bottom, as far as I'm concerned.
All right.
All right. So Pandora has this new cool idea that they're going to use, which is called Pandora Stories. It's an ability for the creators to make a mix of various music that is licensed, of course, and either intermix or even put on top of the music various either you could call them podcasts, but basically spoken word on top of it. So they are able to make a narrative story with music being backed by music. That you're going to be able to pick up a story being sent by somebody and listen to it on your Pandora station. It's an interesting idea. I don't know how well it's going to work because there better be some pretty awesome stories out there to really sell it. But what do you think?
From reading the article, it sounds like as a musician, you could make content specifically for this. So kind of like when CDs have audio commentary, where you listen to a song and then before or after they'll talk about that song. It sounds like they're trying to do that. The problem is I don't know if I would trust Pandora to listen to commentary or podcasts, because Pandora is notorious for, hey, I want to listen to the VOD Squad. Okay, no problem. Here's 5 minutes of the VOD Squad. Now, here's Filmstruck. Here's something from Twit. No, I want to listen to Cord Killers. No, well, eventually you can listen to this other stuff.
Hold on.
So I don't even, I would be afraid to make this content for that, for fear that it would never actually line up and that people will never get to it because they're busy with getting fed something else.
I think that you're right. Like, this sounds really interesting when it's stuff that is purpose made for the audio content or for the music content. They mention where artists and the musicians could create stuff like telling the stories of the songs and things like that, and that would be interesting. I sometimes listen to a song and I wonder, what were they thinking? What is the meaning behind this? Like, these kinds of stories could be really interesting. And there's certain types of bands where that would work really well, where there's a lot of meaning and intention, and sometimes even like one of Camelot's concept albums has a storybook that goes along with it. And interweaving that storybook, the story that goes between the songs into the music, would be really interesting. And being able to play all of that and weave that all together would be cool. I don't think it makes a lot of sense outside of the context of content made specifically for that purpose, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, this sounds like Pandora trying to hang on to listeners, is what it sounds like to me.
Does Pandora have any listeners?
Yeah, they have my wife.
Oh.
Yeah, my wife listens to Pandora. But
there are a lot of people who listen to Pandora either because they want the free, radio station style thing, or they pay for it.
As long as you don't care. As long as you don't care for.
If you pay for it. You get whatever you want. It's
Yeah.
basically any other streaming service at that point, with the radio option if you want to on top of it.
Okay.
It's your choice. I used it for years.
So, and doing this thing where the songwriters or the musicians that make music would do a podcast explaining what they,
Telling a story,
how
whatever they want.
how they made the song or whatever. I don't know. When I was hearing Mike talk about that, I kept thinking, okay, who was the artist that made Baby's Got Back?
Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Oh, no.
Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Sir Mix-a-Lot, right? So, I don't know. Would that make a really good storyline
maybe.
behind it? I don't know. But I kept thinking about that, right? Whenever Mike was talking.
Yeah, I mean, some songs certainly wouldn't be compelling stories, though. There certainly are a lot, like I said, there are a lot of other songs that would be interesting and that people would really enjoy. Some of the bands that, like one of the guys at work was making me listen to 21 Pilots the other day. And
I can only deal with about 8 Pilots. Anything more than that is just insufferable.
I didn't hate the music. It's not something I would normally choose to put on, but I didn't really dislike it. But that music certainly has a story behind what he is saying. It's more spoken word poetry than music, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I can imagine that band creating stories to talk about like what's going on in the story and expanding it even more and adding more poetry in between the songs or whatever. So like I said, it could be definitely very interesting. And like I said, Camelot has done some concept albums that actually had whole-on books to go with it. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I mean, there's a lot of music out there that would fit into that, but I guess the point I was trying to make, only certain kind of music would fit into that.
And Squid pointed out in the chat, this would work good for what he and Big Voice Jay are doing with their mixtape podcast, where they play music and then they talk about the tracks and why they chose it and whatnot. Something like that could work. Like I said, as long as they respect the order and intent of the
You just can't get over this Pandora picking your stuff, can you?
That's why I could never use it. Pandora ruined me for streaming audio for many years. Because everything, I just immediately thought of that. It wasn't until Spotify came to town and I said, well, I'll give it a try. And then I realized, I can listen to whatever I want for free. As long as I listen to a commercial every once in a while.
I definitely had the same experience with Pandora. Ultimately, it got down to the point where Pandora was playing like the same 5 songs for me on loop, and that's all it did. And largely because the music that I like, they just had too little of it. Like they didn't have a lot of power metal. And so even with their subscription service, you still couldn't get, with the premium service, you still couldn't get power metal. So that was why I was soured of streaming music for a while, is because Pandora didn't have the music that I wanted. Its learning algorithm learned to play the 5 songs that it did have that I liked.
Yeah.
Better now, for sure. But I have free services that I get with other things. So.
But speaking of streaming music.
Streaming music is a nice segue. I just didn't pick it up. So there's been a streaming music service from Apple's Apple Music streaming service, and they announced a while ago that they're getting support on the Amazon Echo, and it looks like, according to some crafty viewers, you're looking at the code of the Google Home app for Google Home. It looks like it's a very good possibility that you're also going to get the same service available on the Google Home soon. This makes a lot of sense because there already is Android support, and it doesn't make any sense for Apple not to support all the platforms, especially the ones that are much
but
more
they do
popular
a lot
than
of
their own.
things that would otherwise don't do a lot of things that would otherwise make sense.
That's true, but they do have a very popular platform, and it only makes sense for them to broaden their market to the very popular home automation platforms. And since if they're giving some type of exclusive to Amazon, because I'm sure Amazon would be happy to pay for that, and Google comes 6 months down the road after that, that's fine.
Do you think that Apple doesn't allow in-app purchases because they don't want to share the money with Google?
Well, I don't know how you would do any in-app purchases on a streaming service.
Oh, you sign up for it through the store.
That's a good question.
I would hazard to bet that you cannot sign up for it.
Oh, but Apple. That was Apple's big thing. Is why?
Well,
why wouldn't you want to share the money with us?
The thing is, you're going to have an Apple ID to sign up, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, it's just like with any other streaming service. You got to have that streaming service's ID first.
Yeah, man. We'll save that for after. But
all the streaming services work that way, right?
I'm alluding to the whole Netflix thing where anybody that signs up for Netflix through the Apple Store,
Amazon,
Apple gets a cut of every month renewal.
Right.
And then when people say we don't want to do that, Apple's like, well, why not? I
think the big takeaway on this article is that Apple's getting serious about services.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the big takeaway here.
Mm-hmm.
So just a note on Google Play Store, it will tell you if this app has in-app purchases, and it does not say so on the Apple Music app. I will not be downloading it, but that's interesting.
Yeah, they're getting serious about the services.
Well,
no doubt.
But the thing is, you looked it up. Now you're on a list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fine. I'm on a list for everything. I work for a school district. I look at all the apps. Trust me.
Oh, you do use Google, right?
Yes.
Okay. Enough said.
I'm on their list for certain.
Yeah.
Just so you know, British TV the guys in Britain and have a nice little service called BritBox that is available in U.S. and Canada. And it gives you access to a lot of the various British television shows that they have in a nice kind of a Netflix form. Did you know that they don't have that in jolly old England itself? So they're actually considering providing that service back to them. The interesting thing about this is that, in a way, this is already paid for because of how the television taxing laws work in Britain. And they will very likely, no price has been announced yet for what they would have to pay, but they very likely would have to pay for it again to watch it this way. Does that make sense?
I mean, this is their second attempt to make a Netflix rival.
Right. In Britain.
In Britain. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, they got to have some way to get it out to the Commonwealth, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they're already paying for it, and whatever. No, it's interesting that it seems very much like. This kind of feels like the Aereo case that we have. We're already getting the service, but we'd like to also get it online, kind of thing. And so I wonder how this is going to work in for them. And I'm going to keep an eye on this if I see stories show up about this, because I'm curious how this is for them.
I don't. I mean, why? I don't know why people would pay for this. They're already getting the BBC ITV thing for what they currently pay.
Right.
In taxes or TV tax. What is going to be compelling about this to get people to pay another $7 a month or pounds?
Apparently, not everything that is on the ITV player is available. There's a lot of back stuff.
Well, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's not available because the BBC many years ago said we're not going to. Nobody's going to stream anything. Yeah, we'll sell the rights to you for the next 50 years. Oh, wait, we want to stream that now. And we can't because they gave away all the streaming rights. Eventually, those will come back, but I don't know. if you're British and you think this is a good idea, drop us a line at thevodsquad at
Gmail.com.
gmail.com.
Yeah. All right, another kind of a story. Most of just to let you guys know, if you are in India and you wanted to get access to Spotify, looks like they've figured out their legal trouble and they are now available in that market. So, Spotify for the Indian market.
So now, never mind. I was gonna make a call center joke. Spotify is now, you can pretty much guarantee that Spotify will be playing at your favorite call center. But yeah, good for them. Everybody should have Spotify in their life.
It's all this, it's just more announcements in case anybody we actually listen to us is from India. If that's the case, hi. All right. Cartoon Network has got this app for when you watch TV. You can actually use your login account from your cable service to actually watch the various TV shows on the app. Now they're adding a new feature that they ripped right off from all the various toy makers out there: virtual figurines. That's right. It's little pictures that look like they stand on little stands that you can, because you watch the show, gather up all the various virtual figurines from the show to get your collection. It's your Pokemon addiction for kids continued through Cartoon Network.
My kids definitely need more digital things to collect and more excuses to spend time watching videos online.
Somebody else was talking about doing this very thing with badges back over the summer. I think it was YouTube for YouTube original. Maybe it was Nickelodeon. It was one of them. All I know is that the outcry from the just uproar from the real people was so violent and loud that they immediately scrapped that idea. I don't know why Cartoon Network thinks this is a good idea, but public outcry incoming.
I doubt it. I bet you this is not, because they're not a big enough name to be noticed that much about this kind of stuff, and I bet you this is a hit.
Well, and the whole reason that people were mad was because now that, it's basically incentivizing your children to spend more time watching the thing. I mean, it wasn't like somebody that was massively bigger than Cartoon Network. It was like a direct competitor. It might have been Netflix. It was either Netflix or Nickelodeon. I can't remember. It was one of the two.
Maybe. But at the same time, you have achievements in video games, and they're exactly the same thing. So.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, people flipped out hard over this the last time. If they don't this time, I want to know why, because it's the same exact thing, just different company. So,
yeah.
All right. Last story of today is we have a review of the new Shadow Ghost, which is the set-top box from the Shadow Gaming Service. These guys have taken this box, which costs about $140, and for $35 per month service, you get a virtual machine in the cloud. It's running Windows, and you can use this as your set-top box on your TV to access that virtual machine and play all your downloadable games on that system. Reviewers that I've read is that if you're doing things in 1080p, it's not bad. It's not great though. The image quality is not. It's compressed essentially. It's not that. It doesn't look as good as the real thing. But if you're trying to do things in 4K, this box apparently has not got the guts to do it. So interesting. This is continuing the streaming gaming, streaming your PC to your TV solution. And it'll be interesting to see as this grows as a in the future as an alternative to your game boxes.
I want to know who thought it was a good idea to make this shape. I mean, look at this.
Wait,
Well, you know what it reminds me of, Clyde? You remember the old Boxy box?
Yeah.
Doesn't it kind of remind you of that?
Kind of. I mean, it looks like something. I don't know. It looks like a medical device, or
Kind of looks like a liver from above.
it looks like a scaled down version of that French thing. But I don't know. I have a feeling in about 6 months this thing will live up to its name, and it will be the shadow of a ghost. Nobody will remember it. I think
I'm sure they'll sell hundreds of them.
what I think what they're trying to do is commendable, but I don't think the hardware. I mean, the hardware is not going to be up to snuff. I mean, that thing looks to be about the size of an Android TV,
Right.
which Android TV is great for playing mobile games. But I would never try to play a AAA title on it.
And let's see, what was it, $140 for this thing?
Well, okay. So
Remember
actually,
that
there are
this
people.
is a thin client. It's just streaming it. It's
Yeah,
not actually rendering it or anything. Whereas, you know, the Android devices are actually doing the rendering.
I know what this looks like. This is somebody that misses their original Sling TV. That's what it is. It's that weird twisted shape on the Sling TV.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But I mean, plus, I mean, it's a service. It's $140 for the set-top box, and then $35 a month.
Well, do you remember the GeForce Now service? Then they've been doing that over their set-top box, which is and they've been doing that for a while. And I don't think they've had the quality issues that they're talking about.
Yeah,
on this one.
but that's also like it was. I mean, it's still like a $300 device. You can find them cheaper now, but it was. Yeah, but it was a $300 device when it came out. It's still the same device.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I'd have to see the actual specs on this thing. Maybe we'll have to pick one up and try it. But
the kicker to me is the $35 a month service, and I'm assuming you're still going to have to buy your games.
Right.
Well, no,
So
this is isn't this like the Google or streaming thing where you get to play whatever games as long as you have an active
well,
subscription?
it doesn't clarify. I didn't see that it clarified whether the subscription was for the service of rendering it remotely and delivering it, or if that actually included the price of all of their games. So it would, it would make sense to me that you would say, oh, I'm going to use your streaming service. I'm renting your hardware service, like DSL or whatever. It's the service, and then the video game still needs to be owned. You need to own a license of the game, like Hitman 2 or Witcher 3.
You still have to own the game, but what you're renting for the $35 a month is a very high-end computer running Windows with a 256 gig hard drive and a high-end graphics processor, something that would cost you $2,000 or more. And they'll keep updating it over the years and time. So if I were not really wanting to get the really low latency gaming, because maybe I really do care about the milliseconds and latency, maybe I don't. That depends. And I wasn't already invested in a gaming computer, this would be a really interesting option for me.
Yeah, so I missed something before. So this makes a little bit more sense now. So Blade Shadow has a game streaming service, which has been around that's what the $35 a month is. That's what you're talking about. That's the you're renting a virtual server, blah blah blah. So this is basically adding onto that. So if you're already using the service but you wanted to play it on your TV, now you can.
Box but for that, is it good? That's the reviewers are kind of
yeah,
it goes 144 hertz at 1080
so,
yeah,
this is one of those things where, like I said, if it's good, I commend them for what they're trying to do. If it's good, awesome. If it's not good, we're gonna say, what was that thing called, in about 6 months.
Yeah.
I'm going to wager a guess that this actually is, maybe it isn't a hit, but is a success of a service. People will use it.
Yeah. All right.
Let's see.
So, yeah,
That's the end of our story.
we'll have to try that. We'll have to pick one up and see what it looks like.
Well, you don't have to. You can plug if you want to. You can plug your own PC into your television and do it as well without that.
Well, yeah, but then we don't get to find out if this device is any good. So, I believe that I have no doubt that their streaming service works. It's just, is this, going to give you the good enough quality? I know, I'm pretty sure that if I set up that service on my PC here, it would probably work spectacularly well. Or, as good as their service is. But, yeah, we'll see.
Very cool.
Alrighty, well, that brings us to my favorite part of the show, where we take a little time to thank the amazing folks that make this show happen with their monetary support through Patreon. All the patrons, they're selfless, the people that think that what we're doing is enough, that they are willing to part with some of their hard-earned cash to make sure that we keep doing this. So, to all of you patrons out there that are watching now or listening after the fact on your custom RSS feed, we salute you and we thank you for being our best friends.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of sad when you say it like that.
Best friends.
Will we thank them for being our best friends? I mean, we've got a lot of friends.
Okay.
But they're the patrons.
They are the
best.
friends that pay us.
Dude, you're arguing with me? Are they not?
No, I'm not.
Are the patrons not the best?
No, I am not arguing with you at all. They are the best.
So, I mean, if you think about it, the patrons are the best, and they are also our friends. So wouldn't that make them?
Yep. I'm not arguing with you.
It was like the conversation I had with my daughter the other day. I asked her about her boyfriend, and she was like, "What are you talking about?" I said, that kid. Not my voice. I said, "Is he your friend?" Yes. Is he a boy? Yes. Then he's your boyfriend. No, he's not. But yes, he is. Semantics. Semantics is what makes this world go round. And the patron support is what makes this show go round. So if you are currently a patron, we, again, thank you. If you are not, if you find value in this show and you would like to support us with as little as $1 a month, it's patreon.com/the Squad. What's up, Jimmy?
No.
You looked like you had something to say.
Nope. Sorry.
All right. Well, then this next part is where we would normally check in on the winter movie draft, but that's done. And then that's it. There's not going to be any more draft.
None whatsoever.
Until next Saturday when we do the summer movie draft. 2018 season is done. It's time to start 2019. The draft is going to take place at 5 p.m. Eastern on March 9th, which is next Saturday. We will be streaming that on W. Scottus 1's channel. So if you're not actively participating in the draft, join us, watch us haggle and fight and talk crap. It's a lot of fun. The W. Scottus 1, if you wouldn't mind putting the link to the Reddit post in the chat, that's where the list of the movies. This is going to be a really long season. Have you looked at the list?
It's a huge, long season, and a lot of good movies are on the list.
Yeah, there are, but there is like a 4-week period. We're starting in March, and it doesn't end until September. This is the same thing we did last year, and we ended up dropping off that
September.
last. Yeah, because they wanted to add it as the last movie. There's 4 weeks
I know.
between the last movie and the movie right before it. And I don't know, but yeah, there's some movies in there that I don't know. But
Dude, like half of these movies I want to see in theaters. This is like, I thought this last year had a lot of good movies. This is absurd. Like, yeah, this is crazy. But it makes it hard to judge because when you've got a blockbuster every weekend for the entire summer, how do you do that? Because people aren't going to see a movie every weekend.
I have to ask, what do you guys think the likelihood is of someone going 100 in immediately on Avengers?
There's a good chance.
And that didn't work last year.
This year, yeah, I was going to say this year that's not going to be enough because there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of blockbusters. There's going to be a lot of big dollar movies this summer.
So once again, you are not representing the VOD squad, are you, Clyde?
No.
All I can say is that the VOD squad will not come in last this time.
Yeah, that's what we said last time, and we did. So we're
Are you going to
only go up.
Are you going to be there for us for the voting, Jimmy?
I'll be there.
All right.
Jimmy has actually decided to take control of the voting this time instead of me.
I don't think all of us have ever been there, have we?
Yeah, we were there. We were there last time.
Last time,
were we?
All 3.
Yeah.
I will say though, as much crap as we gave Fitz for Green Book,
I know.
even though it didn't make any money like we thought, it did get Best Picture.
Yeah, and it's actually they got second place. They did really well.
Mm-hmm.
No, we weren't going to talk about that.
Oh, okay, fine. Whatever. No, just so you know, I've already started doing some calculations for us, and I need both Jimmy
and you're going to post those in the VOD Squad Discord, right?
Maybe after the draft, but no, I would like both Jimmy and Michael to, when they have some spare time, go in there, fill out what they think the movies will make during the draft, and it does a little bit of calculation magic for us to guess how much money we should probably spend on each movie as it goes.
Okay.
So we're gonna be and Jimmy's gonna be running the show. Last time I ran it and we got last place, so we're gonna mix that up.
All right.
Mix any different.
All right.
Well, rock on. With that out of the way.
There are some interesting movies coming down the pipe, though.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah, I guess Captain Marvel will be in that. I was thinking Captain Marvel came out last week, but I guess not.
Well, Captain Marvel starts on the 8th, and we're starting our bidding on the 9th.
Is Captain Marvel the first movie in the draft?
It is.
Okay.
Just like last time, we were going to have one show that had already started.
All right.
How about the movie Shaft? Who's playing Shaft?
Shaft.
Shaft is.
No, it's technically Shaft 2. It's the Samuel L. Jackson reprising his role as Shaft 2.
Okay.
I think.
All right.
Or no, sorry. It's his son, Shaft's son this time. We just talked about that because we watched Shaft at the movie party last month. So Shaft, the Samuel L. Jackson movie, he was playing Shaft 2, who was the nephew of the original Shaft. Mm-hmm. This new one is tied into that because they all are directly connected, and he's playing Shaft's son. And the dude that played Shaft is the only person to have ever played the character John Shaft in all of the movies and the TV show, which was on CBS. So,
Shut your mouth.
Shut your mouth. All right. I guess we've got the formalities out of the way. We can start wrapping things up. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Thanks to everybody that supports us and shows up every week. We love you guys dearly, and we would probably still do this if you weren't around, but it wouldn't be as much fun. So if you're listening to or watching this after the fact, we get together and we do this live every Wednesday night here on twitch.tv. If you are a patron, you get the audio custom RSS feed. Those go out typically within a few hours of the end of the show. Yeah, and then just a note to anybody that has been involved in interested in Turtle Days. Head over to the movie draft, the movie party chat. We need to have a discussion. I have set up a Turtle Days section in the VOD Squad Discord as well. So if you're hearing this is your official call to action. We need to talk. For those of you who aren't aware, Turtle Days is in June in Indiana, and it sounds like we are having a movie party meetup. And this small town has no clue what they are in for, as we co-opt their yearly celebration. But rock on. I think that's it, guys. Thank you so much. We will see everybody next Wednesday. Until then, I bid thee adieu.
Bye.
Laters.
Bye.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.